Hello and welcome to Let's Talk Sports. I am Ralph Labella.
And I'm Ron Sen. And as usual, lots to talk about in the world of sports. First, we'd like to talk a little bit about our favorite sport, basketball, and what I like to call winning with less talent. Now, to me, the number one game that I can ever recall where the team with the less talent won was 1984, when Villanova upset Georgetown with Patrick Ewing to win an NCAA championship. It took almost a perfect effort by Villanova, especially in the second half, to do that. But most games, you're not going to go with incredible shooting by one player. It's about team effort, limiting mistakes, dominating the boards, and not turning the ball over.
Right. Yeah, I think you're talking about the Celtics now without Rondo.
Well, the Celtics, every level of basketball is the same story.
Well, it's the best way to explain it with the Celtics. I mean, for people, if they really want to understand, right now, without Rondo, they have more talent. People don't understand. Saying, what is he talking about? Without Rondo, they have more talent. Well, here's what I mean. You got Lee. You got Barbosa. You have Terry. They're going to be touching the ball more now. Their talent's going to come out more than it was with Rondo. People didn't understand. Rondo controlled the ball 95% of the time. Just think about this run. You have 5 players on the court. Rondo's one of them. He's handling the ball 95% of the time. The other 4 players are handling the ball 5% of the time. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Well, the other thing is that the Celtics will be a lot less predictable without Rondo, because right now Rondo passes the ball, gets it back. He looks for somebody, either he drives and kicks the ball out, or he looks for somebody on the pick and roll, whatever. It's always pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, and you see it, right? And you know my feeling. I mean, I've been preaching it for years about Rondo. Like, I don't know. Some days I think he's okay. Some days I think he hurts the team. You know, and now people are starting to see. It's only been 2 games, but they beat the Knicks without Rondo. They beat Miami without Rondo, and then they just crushed Sacramento. You've got to realize. Yeah, I don't know why Doc Rivers didn't realize this in Ainge. You cannot control the ball. I mean, every time the Celtics get a rebound, instead of passing the ball up court to someone who may be open up in the half court, there's Rondo with his hands up running to the ball. So they feel they have to give the ball to Rondo. So they give the ball to Rondo, everybody runs up court. Rondo brings the ball up the court. If they don't have a fast break, he pounds the ball until there's probably 6 seconds on the shot clock. Or if he makes a pass earlier if he makes a pass and the guy doesn't shoot the ball, he runs to the ball to get it back.
Well, it's unfortunate that Sullinger was out last night with back spasms. But on the other hand, Bass has still not been able to get his game together this season, and maybe he'll give Bass more minutes and a chance to get together.
Last night he had one of his better games.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying Rondo's not a talent, but they're using him wrong. What we talk about, you can't. I've talked to people who've played point guard. I played point guard. You cannot pound the ball on the ground, and you cannot. Again, a couple of people I've talked to that have played point have said, listen, it's not about getting an assist. That doesn't make a great point guard. A point guard gets everybody involved. So if a point guard is just concentrating on getting an assist because he wants to lead the league in assists, he's taken away from the other players because they can't break down the defense, and then you're in a frame of mind run. If you're not touching the ball, you're going to go back on defense and play tough defense. You're not in the game.
Well, I have a saying that you can tell how good a game you have by listening. That is, the more dribbling you hear, the worse the game is.
Yeah, I mean, again, everyone I've talked to that knows the game. See, a lot of people don't know the game. A lot of people think Rondo is the greatest point guard in the league. It's great having him. He's the best. He's the leader of the team. I mean, Pierce is saying you're the leader of the team, you know, because he's young or whatever. But Pierce is the leader of the team, even though he hasn't played well. He's at the last 2 games he's played better. But Pierce is the leader. Look what him without Rondo. He got 10 assists and 13 rebounds the first game without Rondo. When they won the championship, the ball was going through Pierce a lot more. Since then, I mean, Rondo's taken over more and more, and it's too much. I can't believe Rivers didn't understand that. Rondo, if he played the game the right way, when he gave the ball up cut, set a pick for a teammate, you know, did stuff like that and to get everybody involved, his talents would come through more.
Well, the game's about cutting and passing, and you know, the Celtics have a little bit different philosophy than some other teams. Rivers' particular belief is you can't give up transition baskets, and what that's translated into is terrible offensive rebounding. He tells people to get back, and that's not a bad idea. The assistant coach, one of the assistant coaches is Kevin Eastman, and Eastman says it's about 3 steps. Your first 3 steps after you get back, you got to make those hard steps, beat your player to half court, and then after that, they're not going to score in transition. Now, the other thing is that sometimes when they're bringing the ball up, last night it was a little slow. It was taking them a long time to get into the offense.
Yeah, but when you're talking about offensive rebound, and I don't agree with Rivers and Eastman, they're not right. What do we teach our kids, right? We want to get back. Our guards got to get back, take the fast break away, and we want to. But what do we tell them? The person whose person gets the rebound, you deny the outlet pass. So why not have your 5 and 4 in there, or if the other team goes small, just your 5, constantly on the offensive boards? Because who's getting the rebounds most of the time? The other team's 5.
Well, the biggest argument to be made is don't let the ball get into the point guard's hand. So rather, you don't even have to get all your guards back. If you can make them challenge the initial pass to the point guard, that's going to slow the other team down.
In Sullinger, I think Rivers is starting to change his attitude in regard to offensive rebounding, because Sullinger's in there rebounding. That's the great thing about him. Now his back's hurt again.
Right.
You know, so I don't know how long he's going to be out, but he's been terrific on the offensive boards. You need that. Listen, Ryan, what do? As a coach, you maximize your chances of winning.
Well, they have Wilcox back, so that's going to help.
Yeah, he looked good last night.
Yeah, Wilcox looks very mobile right now. Green's starting to play better, probably because he's getting some more minutes. So, you know, a lot of people, you know, Barbosa's got some ability. It's not like he's a stiff. So, you know, I think they'll be okay.
But the thing is, when people said, well, now, what were they, 3 games below 500 when Rondo got hurt?
Right.
I mean, everybody's saying, well, now they don't have a chance. What did they have when they had Rondo? I mean.
Well, the big question is, can you build with what you have, or do you want to trade away your stars and then build for the future?
Well, what you have to do now is they have a good team now. I mean, how good are they going to get? I don't know, but they're going to be a lot better defensively with Lee and Bradley in the backcourt. Rondo used to slack off, never came through a pick, never tried to beat a pick. Lee and Bradley are excellent against the pick and roll. They're quick, they rebound. So defensively, they're going to be better. The person I blame is Rivers. I believe Rivers, they babied Rondo. Him and Ainge babied Rondo because he's the name. All the young fans love Rondo because he's flashy. But those are the fans that don't understand the game. And Rivers letting Rondo get away with playing like this hurt Rondo. Rondo, he should have changed things up. Rondo shouldn't always have the ball in his hand every second of the game. When he passes the ball, he goes and gets the ball again. Well, what are the other guys doing? They're standing around watching him get the ball.
Well, for example, the first play of the second half last night, the Celtics have 3 people spaced on the right. Garnett sends a pick and roll. I think it was Lee. Drove off the pick and roll, and then he passed it back to Garnett for an open 18-footer. I mean, that's one of the standard plays, set plays that the Celtics like to run. Well, but at least the other team has something different to look at. Could be run differently with a new guard, and you know, converted an easy basket right away.
But before Rondo got hurt, I love watching the Celtics without him. I just love watching that type of basketball where everybody gets involved. You break down a defense, you cut off the pick, everybody's involved. Players like Lee and Terry, their talent's going to come out more. You know, how many lob passes does Rondo make to Garnett in the game? 2 maybe the most, 1 or 2 where he dunks it. I mean, people love that play. I mean, that's 1 or 2 plays. And Rondo is a good passer. But, again, he shouldn't control the game. And I think maybe he'll learn that, and the Celtics will learn that when he comes back, you know, and they'll be a better team.
Well, I think they'll have a lot of balanced scoring. And, you know, I agree with you. I don't think it's the end of the world at all. Defensively, they should be a little bit better. And
Pierce will handle the ball more.
Right.
You know, he's lost a step, but he's smart. He can pass the ball. He can break down a defense. So he'll have the ball in his hands more, too.
He's an excellent passer. And, you know, and I do think that this will help give more time for especially Bass and Sullinger, you know, Bass and Green. Because Pierce is probably going to end up playing more
two sometimes.
Yeah, so then, you know, so there's more opportunities for those big guys.
Green's got to start using his head better, though. Sometimes he's just not in it.
Well, last night he seemed like he wanted to just shoot threes.
He made 1 stupid pass in the game. I'm saying, how could he make that? And it was like he wasn't even in the game. But then, you know, going back to Rondo, in the game they lost to Atlanta, I think it was that Atlanta game, when they were up by 2 points. It was one game, they were up by 2 points. Celtics had the ball, 12 seconds to go. Terry breaks it to the backcourt. Rondo doesn't even throw him the ball. He gets it to Pierce. Now, Rondo's supposed to be a smart player. He cost the Celtics 1 title against the Lakers.
Well, right. Well, but basically what happened was Pierce got double-teamed and mugged, and they, you know, he
but it should have went
turned
to
the ball
Terry.
over. Yeah, Terry was wide open. Well, the Bruins are back playing playing very
exciting
well.
hockey.
Very well, 5-0-1 thus far. Really good team play, and much more exciting than last year.
Yeah, I mean, I see probably half the games. My Hort, he's got a couple of big goals for them. I'm waiting for Sagan to get it going.
Well, what was disappointing to me, I was watching a little bit of the Felger show and Maz, and they're talking about tonight, well, they're going to play Buffalo and should just turn into one big fight. You know, this is going to be a great night of the Bruins showing how tough they are with a bunch of fighting. Well, what's that about? That's, you know, who wants to watch hockey fights?
I told you about that time I was listening to a talk show at night, and the guy from Connecticut who brought his daughter to the first hockey game, and he calls up and he says, "Oh, my daughter loved it. That's the night there were 5 fights in the first 10 seconds. I'm saying to myself, you have got to be kidding me.
Well, I don't think there's anything wrong with physical play, but it shouldn't be, okay, puck gets dropped, let's have some fights. You know, that just is discouraging to me.
That's why the playoffs are fun. You know, the Olympics, of course. That's great hockey.
Well, obviously there's a lot to talk about. First of all, Tim Hu, you know, Tuukka Rask has done a very good job in goal thus far. Really, he struggled a little bit against the Rangers that one game, but for the most part, he's been outstanding.
Yeah, the defense is excellent. Hamilton's really, they love Hamilton now. You know, I mean, they have 6 very good defensive players.
Yeah, Hamilton seems to be a very good, not only a defensive defenseman, but he has good offensive skills. He's got a good shot. He had a great pass the other day, I think, to set up Krejci with a key goal. And, you know, obviously he's relieved not to be going back to juniors, but I don't see that
No.
was even a consideration.
I mean, they have the best defensemen in the league now when you look at it, the top 6. I mean, Boychuk and McQuaid. I mean, one of them's hurt, but you have Ferentz, Seidenberg.
Yeah, so they've got
Chara.
really six solid guys.
They're very good there. The only thing is they're a little nervous about the third line with Bork. I know Bork didn't play.
Well,
are they playing tonight?
Yeah, they're playing tonight. He's a
not
scratch.
Playing. He's a scratch. Who are they playing ahead of him?
They called up somebody from Providence. But,
Yeah.
you know, overall they've been, you know, playing really well.
Yeah, and Sagan hasn't even got going yet, although he scored in that overtime.
Right. Did you see that the shootout that somebody threw I don't know if it was a carton of something, like a juice box or something in it. It went behind the goalie. I don't know how it could have been a distraction when it landed behind him.
And he scores again.
So I think the shootout really is an exciting aspect for those games.
And this time of year, I know the fans, the real big fans, hockey fans, I mean, they were down about, you know, the lockout, but now it's an exciting time because they're playing so many games per week, so it's great for the fans, you know, and then when you only have a 40-something game, was it 48 game?
Right, 48 game schedule.
So that just like basketball, when basketball had, when was it, last year?
And the other thing about hockey is it's very genuine out there. It's not, you know, there's a lot of contact. People, you know, it's not like a lot of these other sports where everybody's buddy-buddy. You know, it's baseball probably being the worst.
I still say 3/4 of the fans are nuts anyway in hockey.
Well,
they're almost as bad as the wrestling fans.
The Bruins fans are very loyal. I'll give them credit. They're almost as bad as Washington Redskins fans. Now, there's lots of other stories that are developing. Most recently, the biogenesis scandal in Miami. Now, the Miami Herald, I think it was the Miami Herald, put out a massive investigation of performance-enhancing drugs, especially growth hormone. And, you know, the question I have is, what if they found out that there were 100 Major League Baseball players that took performance-enhancing drugs? Would they say, well, we're just going to declare amnesty for everyone because there's so many? Or if there's only a few, then obviously you can suspend them. Now suspending A-Rod's not going to do much good because he's already going to, he may miss the whole season anyway because of his hip surgery.
Yeah, but I heard it's up to the commissioner now. They have an agreement with the Players Association that the commissioner will discipline in regard to that. So the Yankees can't do it. I mean, the Yankees would love to get rid of that contract. It's a disgrace.
Right, he's got $114 million left on his contract.
You know, and there's nothing they can do about it. I thought because he was on the drugs that, you know, that's why he got his contract. But again, the teams can't do it. They can't discipline him. It's got to be the commissioner.
Well, and there's some other pretty big names. The outfielder on the Texas Rangers, Nelson Cruz, who probably should be remembered mostly for missing a fly ball in the World Series that probably cost the Rangers. And Gio Gonzalez, one of the top pitchers on the Washington Nationals. So this is an evolving story. Obviously, the presumption is that the players are innocent until proven guilty, but they have ledgers with photocopies. I can't believe that if you're not going to use an assumed name if you're going to do illegal drugs, but yeah, it looks pretty bad. It was really kind of a Pulitzer Prize winning story.
You know, it's a shame, Ron. As a fan, you can't trust anybody anymore. You really can't. Well, they say it's all right in football because those guys are getting beat up big time, so they don't take it out on them as much as baseball players. But in football, I bet you the percentage is about 80%.
Well, you know, and of course, some of us are wondering how we can get into the deer antler juice business. Apparently, there's a growth factor containing substance in deer antlers that players use. Now, I don't know how physiologically it improves your situation, but obviously Ray Lewis is being accused of that.
You know he's doing something. The guy's a nutcase. Look at him. I mean, he's screaming before the games. He's screaming after the games. He's crazy, the guy. You know, you're going to hear about him in a couple of years, too.
Well, I guess we should say something about the Super Bowl before we, you know, dissect what happened to the Patriots. But, you know, it's the Harbaugh Bowl. Now, my son, who lives in Atlanta, says the way they pronounce it in Atlanta is horrible, because obviously the Falcons got knocked out by the 49ers.
But you know, the shame there is the Falcons got down to the 5-yard line and they couldn't get the touchdown. I mean, that's how close that game was. But I don't like Baltimore. I'm hoping San Fran wins. I think San Fran will win convincingly, but a lot of people think it's going to be a close game. It could go either way. But I look at the Patriots against Baltimore. When the Patriots totally screwed up every time they had the ball, they did something wrong.
Well, we'll get to that later.
It wasn't Baltimore.
Well, I think Baltimore has, you know, a very good, experienced quarterback. Flacco's, I think, the only quarterback to win a postseason game each of his first 5 years. He's playing the best he's ever played. He saved their bacon against the Colts. He certainly outplayed Brady against the Patriots. He's got very good receivers. But all that being said, I like the 49ers because I think their defense is really terrific. And they have, you know, a dynamic quarterback in Kaepernick as well.
Yeah, we're going to talk about football later, right?
Well, we'll talk about the Patriots later. We can still talk about the Super Bowl.
But I'll let you. That's why I don't think I think Flacco's overrated, and I'm going to tell you why when we talk about the Patriots later on. But he is. I mean, I think I could stand in the pocket with the Baltimore offensive line playing against those short defensive linemen the Patriots have. But we'll talk about that when we talk about the Patriots. But I like San Fran. Again, I like them to win convincingly. A lot of people think it's going to be real close. But I think San Fran's definitely going to win that game.
I think the biggest problem with San Fran is the kicker's not a very reliable kicker anymore. Akers was a terrific kicker in Philadelphia, but maybe he's getting toward the end of his career, and he looks kind of shaky to me. The Ravens, they're a pretty balanced team, but the 49ers showed against the Patriots how dominant they can be in stretches. I think they kind of let up against the Patriots once they got the big lead. Obviously, there's not going to be any let up in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, the Ravens, to me, I mean, they're like a fake team. I mean, they shouldn't be in the Super Bowl. They should have number one lost to Denver. I don't know how that cornerback let the guy get behind him with 30 seconds to go. And then the Patriots just totally screwing up in that game. It was more the Patriots than Baltimore.
Well, we'll be right back with our next segment.
At Athletic Evolution, it starts with a purpose and ends with your success. Visit our website or drop into our training facility at 78B Olympia Avenue, Woburn, Mass. Athletic Evolution, giving you the edge.
Welcome to tonight's Sports Conversation. We're privileged tonight to have with us Melrose boys hockey coach Vin Mirasolo. Welcome, Vin.
Welcome.
Nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
Tell us a little bit about how the program's going this season.
Well, we're really excited. It's we're 7-5-3 at present, and you know, it's been a real exciting change for me and my staff to come to the Middlesex League and to coach Melrose High School. And the kids are working really hard, and you know, we've been making steady progress. We're being very competitive each and every game.
Did you bring your whole staff over with you from Linfield?
Almost the whole staff, everyone except one gentleman who ended up leaving to coach his young sons. But yeah, we have I have Glenn Seabury back, who works predominantly with the defensemen and the power play, and Ryan Sheehan back as well, who works primarily with the goalies.
Now, do you have a JV too?
Yep, and we have Kevin Fassett, who worked with the football team this year as well. He's in the school, in the high school, and he handles most of the JV work.
Is there anything different about coaching in the Middlesex League versus the Cape Ann League?
Well, I think the Cape Ann League is one of the premier leagues in the state in Division II public hockey, and I think Middlesex League is probably the premier public league in Division I high school hockey. So you have to show up each and every day, and every game is tight. Whether Melrose is in it or not, all the games are really, really tight. So it's a great challenge every single time you lace up the skates.
Tell us about the system you run.
Well, I think the most important thing we're trying to instill here is just a real high compete level. And the kids have really taken to that. They work extremely hard. It's one thing that the whole staff noticed right away. These kids are working really hard, and they're really hungry to, you know, to do what we ask them to do, which is, you know, work hard, play a team-first approach. You know, we've tweaked the system depending on our opponents, but for the most part, we're a defense-first system. We try to play a real solid team defense in our zone, try to keep everything to the outside. Try to own the neutral zone a little bit. Some people call it a trap, but we like to sort of bottle the neutral zone up. And then when we have a chance to go, we go real hard, very aggressive in the offensive zone. For the most part, that's what we're doing right now.
Do you try to skate it in, or do you pass it in and just?
With us right now, it's real important to get the puck in deep behind the opposing defenseman. So you may call us a dump and chase team, or sometimes we'll dump it and we'll let them set up and try to have them bring the puck sort of toward where we want them to bring it in the neutral zone and try to get some turnovers.
If you could snap your fingers and make anything happen to help your program, what would you, other than have a superstar arise out of nowhere, what would you do?
Honestly, I just think we need to keep doing what we're doing. Last night was a great game for us from my perspective. We've been having a little bit of success lately, and last night the kids really took charge from the moment we stepped on the bus to the time we got to the rink throughout the whole game, and they seemed to really take ownership of what they wanted to do as a team, and you know, sort of let the coaches sort of sit back and let them do what they wanted to do, and it was a great game. I thought our first period last night was as good of a period as we played all year, and coming back at the end to tie it up with 19 seconds just showed, you know, the resiliency of these kids, and they work really hard, and they're trying their darndest to, you know, play the system that we're putting in place. So we're really thrilled. I mean, it's been really it's very exciting each and every game. I'll tell you that much.
Did you take the goalie out when you scored that last goal?
Yeah, we pulled them with a little under a minute, and yeah, we put it in with 19, and to get 3 out of 4 points from Burlington, the defending state Division I champs, we're really happy with that.
Are they number 3 in your league now, behind Reading and Winchester?
Yeah, the league's really tight. I mean, I think as we speak, we're maybe 1 or 2 points out of second place in our league, and I think Burlington and Wakefield, you know, are right there behind Wilmington. Wilmington's sort of walking away with it at this point, but
oh, in the Freedom Division.
In the Freedom Division, right. Yeah, but you know, we're a win away on Saturday from, I think, being in second place as well.
Now, we're basketball guys, but
that's all right. I won't hold it against you.
Okay. If from a skill standpoint or a technique standpoint, where can you improve?
I think we're a good skating team. I think you know, one of the focuses for the coaching staff is to work on our stick skills in practice. So from a skill development perspective, I'd like to see our stick skills improve. We're physical, we're tough, we're a good skating team. which allows us to play very good team defense, and we're a smart team. I think if we continue to improve our stick skills, we'll just continue to get better. That's a major part of where we need to go.
What percentage of practice would you say you devote to fundamental skill development?
I think it varies from year to year, and I think coming into a completely new team and them seeing a completely new staff, we spent a lot of time on sort of conveying the system, for lack of a better word, that we're trying to put in place. We really do need to have everyone on the same page, and I think it's starting to show dividends. Skill development, ideally, you should incorporate skill development in all of your drills, and whether it's running breakouts or power play, et cetera. So there's obviously that component. You want to be using the puck in every single drill you do. But there are times when we'll just simply have a skill day and be working on, going around cones and moving with the puck and making passes and trying to make plays, as opposed to just, being out there and just being happy to not make a mistake. We're trying to get these kids to try to make plays.
Tell everybody about your hockey resume. When did you start playing? What school did you go to?
Well, many years ago. I played 4 years at Dom Savio High School back in the 80s. I PG'd a year at Phillips Academy in Andover, and I ended it by having a good career at Bowdoin College. I really enjoyed it up there. It's a small Division III college hockey program, and it was a lot of fun. And I ended up being an assistant coach at a couple of places, Malden Catholic and Westwood High School. And then 15, 16 years ago, I got the head job over at Linfield.
Now, hockey, more than any other sport, I mean, the coach is huge. I mean, the parents are looking at in youth sports, are looking at what coach do we want our son to play for, especially the stars.
Right.
What are you going to be doing in Melrose? I mean, have you met the youth teams, any of them? Have you gone and seen any of the games?
Yeah, we've had some nice contact with the middle school team, and the great thing is the rink that we're in, we see the youth teams all the time. And I mean, there's no doubt you're always a better coach if you have the top players. And without a doubt, Boston's a region, and Melrose is an area where there's plenty of opportunities to go play elsewhere. But if you play a good team game, if you run a disciplined program, you try to put the team first, and you have success, hopefully people will stay. And maybe staying doesn't mean 4 years for everybody. We've had success in the past having people come for a couple of years and try it out, and some people end up repeating. In hockey, you may want to leave and go repeat somewhere, or you end up really enjoying playing with your friends. I think that one of the best things about high school hockey is if you're fortunate enough to make the state tournament and play in front of a few thousand people with the kids you grew up playing hockey with. To me, that's such an exciting feeling. And I don't know if you get that in the prep school or the junior or even the Catholic school ranks. And when it hits on all cylinders, when you're really making a run toward a state title perhaps, and you see the looks on these kids' faces playing with each other, the kids they grew up with, there's nothing like it. And if you can get that experience out of it, to me, that alone can make your high school career.
Well, we strongly believe in that, and that you have to be able to recruit the players within your own system. Certainly, Melrose has a lot to offer, educationally, and we have great facilities now. Obviously, hockey-wise, we can't speak to that, but at least you have the Flynn rink to use.
Yeah.
And it hurts so much to lose the talent to other schools. I call it poaching, for lack of a better word.
Well, yeah. I mean, anywhere you are, if you have a successful youth hockey system, people are going to want to test the waters elsewhere. And like I said, all we can do is put out the best product we can. And these kids are working really hard. We're having success. The more success we have, hopefully we're on the verge of qualifying for the state tournament. And it's a great venue. You're going to have more people watching you play in a state tournament game than you are, playing in any of these other leagues. It's again, I think it's special to play high school hockey with your friends. And I think if you do a great job, working your tail off and having fun, it's a great thing. You have to have the kid want to do it. A lot of parents. I'm a parent as well. I have two children, and we all want what's best for them. And sometimes what's best is letting them grow up with their friends and play local.
Who's in your #1 line with players?
Yeah, I would say we don't really have a number one line, but you know I guess we have two lines I would say that provide most of our scoring punch. We have one line of John Botello at center with Mike DeRaphael and Eric Mercer.
Two hard-nosed players. I don't know much about the center, but the two.
The three hard-nosed players.
Yeah.
They work really hard, and we don't have a problem matching them up with anybody. Then we have another line that's been adding a lot of offense lately as well. We have Zach Mercer centering Brian McLaughlin and Cam McGuire, and again, that's another very, very hard-working line.
You have a young team then, right?
Zach's
got two years after this.
Right.
His brother and DeRaphael have another year.
Yeah, and so
how about the center?
Botello has another year.
He has another year. Wow.
Brian's a sophomore as well, and so Cam McGuire is one of our captains. He's a senior. But the great thing is we have two lines that we don't have a problem matching up with anybody, and then we have another couple of lines that are working hard and doing their job as well.
Now, is that like the NHL? Is that how you use them, like 3 lines, sometimes 4?
I'd say we predominantly use 3 at this point. You know, as we speak now, our third line is evolving. So we have,
is it
4 or
young,
5. Yeah, it's very young as well. Yeah, we have 4 or 5 different players that are competing for time, and now I would say that the top 2 lines are probably playing a little bit more than I would like right now, but we're working into a system where we can have a little bit more spread out of the ice time, because in the end you need to have it more spread out to be competitive. You can't play hockey if you're tired.
Especially when you're going up against the tough teams.
Exactly.
Is there anything that you found a surprise this year in the Middlesex League? Again, just how tight each game is. I think they're very physical. Last night was a very, very physical game against Burlington. But overall, no. I mean, where I was previous, we would play non-league games against some of these teams, and I think I just say every game is competitive from top to bottom. There's not an easy night at all.
Who's in the net for you?
We've been rotating a little bit. We have Joey Tagliari, who's a junior, and we have Tyler Brown, who's a sophomore, and we have Phil Bolton, who's also a sophomore. And Tyler and Joe have been playing a little bit more so as of late, but all 3 are working really hard each day, and we feel very comfortable no matter who we put in the net. And it's really important for us because we're a defense-first team, and we need our goalie to make the saves he's supposed to make.
What do you enjoy most about coaching hockey?
I think it's a great game. It's fast. It's physical, and I really enjoy just, if you take what we've done this year and watching these kids evolve. And I think last night was, like I said earlier, it was a real big moment just to see the kids take control, sort of take it from the coaches and run with it, and see them, buying into a system and collectively maybe outperforming our individual talents.
So it must be a good feeling when you see the team take, as a first-year coach in Melrose, see the kids take to you and your staff.
Yeah, I mean, it's not without ups and downs. I'm sure it's a change for everybody, and
right.
I'm sure for adolescents it's not always easy with new folks coming in and putting in a new system and having a new way about yourself and new expectations. But to me, there's nothing greater than team sports when everyone comes for a common goal.
We coach middle school girls, and I always emphasize to the kids, you don't play for the coach or your parents or the community. You play for your teammates.
Right.
And you win together, you lose together.
Yeah, and I don't think you can't teach that, you can't coach that. It's either there or it's not. And again, that goes back to what you have at Melrose High School, you may not have at Catholic School XYZ. These kids have played since they were 5, and they really do care about each other. And you can't compensate for that. And they really pull for each other, and it's not the easiest thing to do when you're not the guy getting the ink. But they really do. They really care about each other. They work for one another, and the morale seems very, very good.
When did you actually get the job? Was it during the summer?
Geez.
Were you able to put a program in and talk to the kids?
We spoke to them just as an introductory meeting at the end of last school year. Really had no contact throughout the summer, and then you know, a little bit come the fall. But a significant amount of our players play football, so in the fall that's their priority.
Yeah, we do the football games.
Right.
And some of these kids, you know.
Yeah, you see our roster, it has probably more than half play football.
Corellis, too, is on it, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So we really didn't have a ton of contact with them. It really started, honestly, with the opening day of tryouts after Thanksgiving.
Well, obviously the team's been getting stronger as you go along. You started off a little slow, 0-3-1, and then since then, I guess you're 7-2-2. So you've been doing really well lately.
Yeah.
What's the biggest difference, you'd say, recently versus at the beginning of the year?
Again, I think it might just be a little bit of a familiarity with the system. I think the margin for error in high school hockey in the Middlesex League, where the talent disparity is not great, I think the margin for error is so thin. And it can simply be a little bit of a positioning situation or not having a full grasp of what, as a staff, we want them to be doing. And it's literally no one's fault. It just takes time and to get comfortable with the system. And then, you know, winning begets winning. You have a little success, and then they start to see that this is working, and I think it's sort of just rolled from there. And we are having success as of late, which is nice, but we have some tough games coming up. We have Wakefield on Saturday, which is going to be, I think, a very, very competitive game. We tied 1-1 last time we played, and then we have Wilmington coming up next Wednesday.
Now, where's the Wakefield game
Wakefield
played?
game is home at 12 o'clock.
And what about the Wilmington game?
Wilmington game is on the road next Wednesday night at 8 o'clock. So that's a late one.
No, I always talk to our kids about finding their identity. Don't you think that's really important? That's probably what your team has finally done,
Sure.
you know, as the year goes on.
Yeah, I think it is very important, and I do think, though, there's a lot of ebb and flow of the season. You can see it throughout the league. Some teams have started off well, you know, had a little bit of a struggle, then had some success, and you have injuries, you have sickness. We've all been battling sickness on that team. But I think our identity is that we're going to work really hard, play great team defense, and I think our track record is that we're going to play to the last buzzer, and we've had some success coming back and maybe tying games or winning games late.
Well, thank you for joining us tonight. We're very fortunate to have you take your time, and we expect great things from the hockey program.
Don't get too crazy now. But I appreciate your time as well. Thank you.
We'll be right back.
Hey, this is Paul Raplh from the Boston Cannons, and you're watching Let's Talk Sports.
Welcome back. There's always something new and different in the world of sports. Earlier this year, we lamented the passing of the varsity basketball doubleheader, and now it's become even more intrigue with the suspension of the Lexington athletic director, Naomi Martin. What happened was that Ms. Martin received a letter from a Lexington parent who also happens to be an attorney, and the letter suggested that the Middlesex League was in violation of Title IX because of unequal playing times for girls basketball. Now, Ms. Martin presented that to her fellow athletic directors, saying that the parent at question had threatened a lawsuit. Now, we do not know whether verbally that was possible or not, but no lawsuit was mentioned in her letter. Subsequently, the Middlesex League went to battle stations and ultimately rescheduled basketball evenings such that girls are played at one venue and boys at another, after a meeting of the athletic directors. Now it comes out that the athletic directors were received information that misrepresented was in the letter, and there's a huge brouhaha in Lexington about the trust in the system, about the athletic director's previous decisions regarding the firing of Coach Bob Farias, who'd been an institution in Lexington basketball, and Coach Ty, who was their legendary football coach, and people are screaming for her head.
She let them two go, both of them?
She was on. It was under her watch that that happened.
Do they do psych tests on these people when they hire them? I mean, you know, this athletic director's got to be crazy. How could they hire her? They didn't do a background check?
Well, I guess she had a very spectacular athletic career of her own. She has.
Yeah, so didn't Ray Lewis.
She has her own supporters, but if you need entertainment, you can go to the LexingtonPatch.com and see the hate and discontent that's going on in Lexington.
Yeah, but who's to blame about this whole thing there? Where boys are playing in one gym and the girls are playing in the other gym at the same time? Who do you blame?
Ultimately, the athletic directors didn't verify that information.
No, but I blame the athletic directors for making a terrible decision by having the boys play in one gym and the girls in another gym at the same time. Common sense says the girls will play at 5 one day, the boys will play at 5 the next day, the girls will play at 7 the next day. Right. That's common sense. Anybody with a brain would have come up with that decision.
Well, it just happened. Just so happened that there were midterm exams recently, so both teams played at 5:30 because the people had to supposedly study for their examinations. Well, if it's about academics, then everybody should be playing at 5:30, not just during exam week. So you can't argue that there's something negative or terrible about playing at 5:30. So it could have been easily resolved, and for whatever reason, the athletic directors, in my view, as well as yours, dropped the ball.
Well, and there's a lot of fans from Melrose that haven't seen the boys play a game.
Well, we get to watch on MMTV with no commentary.
I mean, it's a shame. I mean, we could have been doing all the boys' games, too. You know, what are they, 10, 11-0 now?
13-0.
13-0. I mean, it's a shame. And again, it comes down to the athletic directors. How could they make that decision? I mean, anyone, you could talk to a 5th grader about the problem they have, and the 5th grader would come out, all right, one of them play at 5:30 one day, the other one at 7.
Well, if somebody said, an angry parent sent me a letter, the first thing you'd say is, can I see the letter? You know,
and that still didn't fall under Title IX anyway, I heard.
Right. Well, the argument.
The times didn't fall under it.
Right. The argument is that the 7 o'clock time is so far superior to the 5:30 time. I don't see it that way at all. I'm happy to see either team play at 5:30 or 7. It doesn't make a difference.
You know, in Melrose over the years has had the girls play at 7 at times.
Right. And it's not as though the time was what determined the number of fans at the games. When Melrose girls basketball was having tremendous success, 5:30 games were extremely well attended. There might be 200 or 300 fans there sometime. Most recently, according to one observer, there were 50 fans in the stands for a Melrose girls basketball game. So there's just not as much interest right now.
Right, and you have the Melrose girls are playing at 5:30 and the boys at 7. Well, the second half of the Melrose girls game, they're going to have triple the fans. People don't realize that. You're going to have more fans for that first game than the second game, unless the second game's a big game. You know, then everybody's going to be going to that game. Well, but, I mean, it's just a terrible decision. And
well, on the boys' side, they're playing terrifically. You know, they've had recent article by Steve Pacheco of the Woburn Chronicle looked at Middlesex League boys and girls basketball, and they picked Franzi Perot as the likely MVP from the Freedom Division, with Matt Sherlock as the chief contender. And Sherlock's been terrific distributing the ball. He had a 3-pointer at the buzzer to beat Winchester. Again, we haven't seen it, we've just heard about it. And also Sam Jean Gillis has been terrific, and they have a freshman, Sharon Harris, who apparently is playing really good basketball too.
What did we say when Adams was going to private school? We said now Sherlock can be his own man, because he gave way to Adams an awful lot last year, and now they need him, and it's great to see. But when Perot was a freshman, we loved him. You know, we loved him, and thank God he's back this year, because there was talk because of his soccer.
Right. There's rumors that he might be playing in the ACC for soccer. He's a junior right now, so he'll probably be making a commitment soccer-wise sometime in the summer.
One of the top soccer players in the country, right?
One of the top soccer players on the East Coast, at least. So he's a great athlete. He's exciting. He gets steals. He's a terrific rebounder. For a young player who doesn't have a tremendously long basketball resume, he's got good offensive skills. You
talk about a team finding their identity. I mean, last year they didn't, even though they had a real good season last year, I mean, they very really went down to Gillis, but they were so talented with Adams out there, with Sherlock, you know, Perot. But now I heard they're going more to Gillis down low, and when you do that and then they start converging in him, and then you kick it out to players like Sherlock, and Perot can flash to the basket. He's quicker than anybody goes up against.
Well, and they run a variety of defenses. They really like zone trap, especially. They run 1-2-2 zone trap a lot. They can play good man-to-man defense in there. I think they're allowing 49 points a game, which is very impressive in this era.
And they have a huge game. They're playing Wakefield Friday, right? Tomorrow?
I'm not sure.
I think it might be Wakefield. Again, we're not going to be able to see the game, but Wakefield has Brown back, so.
I think it'd be Burlington.
Oh, Burlington. Maybe
So,
Wakefield next
well, Burlington's a good basketball team as well. So, you know, the boys have been terrific. The girls are continuing to struggle. They got on a bit of a roll. They won 4 games out of 6, and then had a tough game the other night against Arlington. Arlington was really tough. They lit it up from the free throw line. At one point, they were 21 for 25 until they made another couple late, missed a couple late free throws, but still 21 for 27 in a high school basketball game is pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, Melrose had won 4 out of 6. They were feeling good about themselves. They went up front 10-2, and Coach Ferranti was feeling real good about it. So in the 4-minute mark of the first quarter, he decided to put 3 substitutes in. Well, you know, I could see the move he made. He was comfortable with the way the girls were playing. But what he did is, that was probably the worst decision he could have made, because they had all the momentum there, Melrose. They were playing great. You leave that unit in there, no matter who. Even if it was 5 subs in there and they're playing that good, you leave them in there till they even off, you know. But he should have kept them in. They're up 10-2. They may have been up by the end of the first period, 20-4 or 5, if he kept them in. When he made those substitutions, they started to back off a little. They didn't have that same intensity they had early on, and then the rest of the game they struggled.
Well, Arlington made some adjustments. Kayla Weiland, who's been their offensive force this season, averaging, I think, 12.6 a game and about 8 rebounds a game and 2.5 blocks, was really dominating down low. She had 16 points in the first half, and she's really tough down in the low block. But after intermission, Arlington made adjustments. They doubled down on her, took the points, easy baskets away, and despite a really strong effort from Jill McGinnis, who had 12 points, Melrose just couldn't put enough points up.
Yeah, and that's the best Arlington could play. Early in the game, they were getting dominated, but as the game went on, they got more and more confidence, and they executed the game really well. You have to give them credit for that, and Melrose just got into a funk that they couldn't get out of.
Yeah, Arlington did a lot of good things. They made some shots. They made the plays when they had to, and obviously shooting 78% from the free throw line and getting lots of free throws, you know, was the difference for them.
Tomorrow night's a huge game. They have to beat Burlington.
Well, Melrose has to get 10 wins to make the postseason. In other words, they can at most lose 2 games down the stretch. They still have Watertown, which is a very tough team, one of the top 3 teams in the Middlesex League. They have the end-of-the-year tournament at St. Mary's, where one of the competitors is Arlington Catholic, who's one of the top 20 teams at least in Eastern Mass. So those are 2 tough games for Melrose. So really, they have to win every other game.
I think if they beat Burlington, they'll make it. This is a key game tomorrow. They beat Burlington and get right back on the right track, because you look at the rest of their schedule, they've beaten the other teams, except for Watertown. And you know, even if they lose to Arlington Catholic or Watertown, that'll get them to 10-10. But you know, it's all confidence. You know what it is.
Yeah, Burlington matches up well against them because they have 2 very talented front court players, and Melrose is going to need a lot from Kayla and Katie Sullivan.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, back to the Patriots. I was fortunate enough, or misfortunate enough, to get to the game, and it was awful. You know, the Patriots had a lot of opportunities that they squandered, and you know that comes right off the opening series.
Well, 9, didn't they? Weren't they in the Baltimore's territory 9 times in the game? But first series, Brady's got Welker wide open, 35-yard pass. He probably would have run after it. He had the defensive player beat by 2 steps, overthrows him, goes off his fingertips. You know, I look at that and I say some of these other teams, like New Orleans and Green Bay, they have big receivers with long strides. Another, you know, Welker's small. So a lot of times you got to put the ball just about perfect on those passes.
Well, there were so many key moments. There was a play early in the third quarter, where Welker had just gotten hammered, and then they went right back to him. I think it was 3rd and 9. he had the ball in first down territory and he dropped the ball.
On the 20-some yard line of Baltimore.
Yeah, his head was probably spinning from the hit that he'd taken. So, you know, I'm not, for all I know, he had a concussion and nobody's ever going to talk about it.
Yeah, but you look at that game, though, Ron. The first possession, he overthrows Welker. The second possession, they kick a field goal. They get inside the 20-yard line of Baltimore. McDaniels, again, runs it 3 times. They get stuffed on the third down run. They had 3rd and 2. But he ran it 3 times.
And
doesn't pass it once. They have to kick the field goal.
And then the other key moment was when Talib pulled up lame. And when
that was huge.
When that happened, you have Marquise Cole, Arrington, and Dennard as your 3 cornerbacks, including the slot cornerback, going up against Bolden, Torrey Smith, and Jones. And, boy, they got outmatched. And even worse, Pitta up the middle. Nobody was covering him.
What was Baltimore thinking about when Talib went out? They still only scored 1 touchdown in the first half. They kept running the ball on first down. Are they crazy or what?
I know.
Without Talib in the game, you're not passing?
They should have seen the matchup right away on that.
But that's another thing with the Baltimore coaching staff. But you look at the Patriots still run.
Well, they didn't move McCourty back into the cornerback position. Instead, they went with Cole. And then Chung's not even playing. So Chung's their former, #1 draft choice who doesn't even play.
But Ron, you look at the possessions quickly. He overthrows Welker the first possession. Second possession, they kick a field goal because they run the ball 3 times. Didn't even throw the ball once they get inside the 20. Third time, they score a touchdown. The fourth time, Lloyd stumbles. Brady threw a beautiful pass across the middle, key 3rd down play. Lloyd stumbled, got up, and it went off his fingertips. So Lloyd doesn't stumble. It's a perfect pass to him for a first down. The 4th possession, they come down and score a touchdown. The 5th possession, they're moving the ball, and Brady, knucklehead Brady, decides to run it from the 10-yard line, first down with 20-something seconds ago. He gets tackled on the 8-yard line with 17 seconds ago, and him and Belichick, their clock management is absolutely terrible. He doesn't call a timeout.
Well, the same thing happened against, was it Jacksonville?
No, it happened earlier in the year against Arizona. With 40-something seconds ago, Belichick let the clock run down to kick a field goal, and they lose it.
20 years from now, we won't be having this discussion anyway.
But what I'm saying is they gave the stupid game away to Patriots. It wasn't that Baltimore took it from them.
Well, we're in the twilight of the National Football League because unless something changes, the National Football League won't even exist in 20 years because the amount of head trauma that's going, I won't say unnoticed, but not fully treated. Rodney Harrison came out today now and he said he's having periods where he feels isolated and lonely and he's really worried about his health because he's had so many concussions during his career.
It's a huge problem. Just thinking about everybody's saying, well, those cornerbacks and the safeties are just drilling these players, but every time they drill them, something's happening. I mean, you're getting a slight concussion every time you're drilling someone.
Right. Back in the day, you didn't have a concussion unless you were knocked out. So if you were literally passed out for 5 seconds, 10 seconds, a minute, then they called it a concussion. Now we realize that much lower degree of head trauma can cause brain injury and lead to chronic traumatic encephalopathy. So they just announced today that every NFL game will have a neurologic consultant in attendance to evaluate players who come off to see whether they've had a concussion or not. Now, all that being said, there's a tremendous pressure to get people back in the game. Welker got a terrific hit. I think it was I'm not sure if it was Pollard or not. Ridley got literally knocked out.
Pollard.
Yeah, Ridley got knocked out.
When's someone going to hit Pollard? I mean, he just keeps knocking out Patriot plays. He's one who knocked out Brady with the knee.
And he broke Gronkowski. Or he hurt his leg. We don't know if he broke it or not because the Patriots never tell you exactly what happened to anybody. But, I really do think that the future of sports, especially the NFL, is jeopardized by this. I mean, it's pretty hard to make a safer helmet. There is work on one that's got little air cells, but it's not proven to be dramatically different so far. And we're just seeing and hearing the stories more often. A big contract was awarded to Mass General for I think $100 million to study brain injury, and even though Boston University already has a very active program. So, I don't know the answer there, but what happens is I mean, I know a lot of people now would say they wouldn't let their child play football.
I think a lot about boxing too, Ron. You know, you talk about football, boxing, where you're constantly getting punched in the head.
Well, the whole idea is to give the guy a concussion.
Jeez.
And the other issue is for all the people that play soccer, you're hitting the ball regularly with your head. Is that good for you? Probably not.
But getting back, before we go, getting back to Flacco, all right?
Okay.
You said he always dominated, outplayed Brady the last 2 years. You got a quarterback, what the best offensive line protecting the quarterback. Baltimore, they're huge. You can't get to Flacco. Unless you blitz 2 linebackers, maybe. You can't get to him. So he's standing up in the middle, in the pocket. Now, on top of that, you got Wilfork, about 6'1". I think he blocked 1 pass all year in the middle. He doesn't get up. Once in a while, he rushes a little, but that game there, he wasn't even getting off the line of scrimmage. So now you're a quarterback. You're looking out. You have no one in your face. You're standing there under no pressure. How couldn't you complete the passes? I mean, that's a huge factor, Ron, where Baltimore had people in Brady's face, even though Brady completed a lot of passes in that game, and it should have been more in key situations. That's why I don't think Flacco is as great as people say he is. I mean, he's good, but he has that offensive line and ends that really help him out.
We'll find out Sunday.
Yeah, because San Fran should get at him.
Well, you know, we'll have a lot more to talk about. One of the issues is Ed Reed is a free agent. And now, Reed may just be talking a good game trying to get Baltimore to pay him more, but he was talking about how much he loves Coach Belichick, and you never know where he could end up.
But they say he's worried about his brain, too. He says he's feeling things, he's seeing things that aren't normal. So I would think Reed would be retiring after this year, too. He'll go with Lewis. Well,
You know, I guess it all depends. You know, these players are very competitive guys, and you know, not only do they like to compete, they like to get paid big time.
Who do you like in the game?
Oh, I like the 49ers. I just think that they're overall stronger on defense and stronger on offense.
You think they can get at Flacco, though, with that great offensive line? You know, if they can't get at Flacco and he's standing back there. I mean, I love San Fran to win it, too, because I think they're a lot more talented.
Well, the 49ers don't blitz a lot because they have such a great pass rush ordinarily.
But I think they're going to play their best game. The Pats played one of their worst games against Baltimore, you know, and they lost it. It was more the Pats stinking the place out than Baltimore, I feel. That's why I like San Fran. San Fran, although San Fran lucked out against Atlanta, too, but they were at Atlanta, so.
Well, we'll see. It should be a great time for the folks down in New Orleans. Thank you for joining us. I'm Ron Sen.
And I'm Ralph Labella, and thank you for watching Let's Talk Sports.